Hey everybody, Adam here again with the fourth installment in our WCB Anatomy of a Song video series. In the last video we talked about how we begin by laying down a scratch track that guides us along the way when we record. Then we discussed how I take those sound files and send them via the internet to Pete, who opens them up on his computer in his studio, in his house, the skeleton room, so that he can record some killer drums. In this video, we're really going to get a lot done, and we'll show you how each of us in the band takes our turns and starts adding all the other ingredients to our recording. We're going to start with bass, then we're going to lay down some guitars, fiddles, and the vocals. It all starts with the drums, like I said. Those are our foundation. Since a picture tells 1,000 words, though, let's just turn it over to Pete, who will explain a little bit about that process. Take it away, Pete.
Are we on? Okay. All right. What's up, WCB fans? Pete James Johnson here in my home studio, which I lovingly call the Skeleton Room. I'm about to record some drums for WCB's new single, A New Day's Coming. We decided to to create this little video series for you guys about how we record and what we like to do in the studio and everything like that, and how we like to work. And I guess for myself, I really only have two big secrets to achieve good drum sounds when I'm recording. The first one for me is that I really like to record in a comfortable pair of pants. Thus, as you can see here, I'm wearing these very comfortable 100% polyester pajama pants. Extremely comfortable. I don't know, it's just something about doing that. It just sounds better when you're wearing comfortable clothes. I don't know, I can't really explain it. It just sounds better. The other thing, the second big secret I have, is my very talented recording engineer who I work with, who I will introduce you to right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Leo, my recording engineer. Leo, say hi. Leo. He's distracted. He's mixing in some EQs for the drums right now. Let's try to make some magic. Let's rock.
Okay, we are back. Thank you, Pete. Pete did an awesome job recording the drums, and then he sent the files back to me. Currently, now, I am in the program that we use to record the audio and share it with each other and build our song. This is called Pro Tools. Pro Tools is the industry standard recording software, or DAW, or DAW, Digital Audio Workstation. There are a number of different brands of DAW. They all do the same thing. Don't let anybody tell you differently. But Pete and I use Pro Tools, and we send tracks back and forth. It makes it easy for us to record together. So Pete has recorded the drums, sent them to me, and I've now opened everything up in Pro Tools, and I can now start adding additional instruments to our recording. Okay, so basically what I did was I sent Pete these three tracks at the top here where it says click, scratch Vox, and scratch guitar, right? And that sounds like this. Tick-tock, tick-tock is the metronome. So that's what Pete hears in his head when he records. Okay. Then he lays his drums over the top of that, records them over the top of what he's hearing there, all on their own, each individual tracks, which are what these bands of color all represent. Each one of those is a separate drum track. We have 3 different mics on the kick drum, the big bass drum. We have 3 different mics on the snare drum, which is the drum you hit the most often. And then we have tom mics, hi-hats, overheads, room mics. All those can be combined to make a really, really cool drum sound. So now, with the drums, it sounds like this. Ever had one of those days? Everything seems out of phase. Just the drums by themselves there. Okay. So they sound great on their own. They will be played with later on with tools like equalizers and compressors and things to make them sound even better. But they sound great, and we're going to be able to use those to record the other instruments over. Okay, so they're adjusted in a general sense, and here's another view of a Pro Tools window. Kind of looks like a big console, right? And we can individually adjust the volume levels and the balance of each of those drums so that when we hear them and record to them, we're hearing what we want to get the best performance out of each individual player. Okay. The real work, mixing, will come when we reach that mixing stage, but for now, these sound great. They're good to go. And what we're going to do is start with Andy playing the bass. He's going to come in and lay his bass track down over the top of these drums. Okay, we are back. I'm joined now by our bass player extraordinaire, Andy, who is going to start the process by which we add other instruments to our recording. Andy's going to lay down his bass part, obviously, because just like building a house, you start with the foundation, right? The drums and the bass form our rhythmic foundation that we build the rest of our house on. They're the 2 core instruments that kind of underpin the whole thing. Without bass and drums, the whole deal falls apart. So we got Pete on drums. Now it's Andy's turn. Very important. Andy, why don't you tell us a little bit about your process for recording?
All right. Well, like Adam said, it's the foundation, the drums. The drums are the foundation. The bass kind of builds off of that. I like to think about the tone of the bass, like kind of what tone I'm going to go for. If I'm going to get more of a bigger, rounder sound, or more of a kind of choked mid-rangey sound, just depending on the vibe of the song. I think about how busy or how sparse I want to be. Typically, you lean to the side of sparseness. Less is more in the studio, for sure. Especially in a song like this, where there's going to be a lot of layers built on top. You try to leave a lot of room for all the other awesome things that are going to go on top of it. We'll try to really lock in with the drums, but also provide a really solid harmonic bass for everything to be layered on top of. So that's kind of my basic approach there. Basic.
The cool thing about this bass tracking deal is that we don't even need a big, powerful, loud bass amp in order to make this work, right? We're going to go sans amp. In this particular instance, we are going to go literally sans amp. Check this out. We've got a really neat piece of gear here called a sans amp. This is a little bass, active bass preamplifier that enables us to dial up all sorts of really cool bass tones, right, Andy?
Absolutely.
Without a big, powerful, loud amplifier, which is very helpful when we're recording at night and we're in the middle of a city dwelling, as we are. We're very big believers around here of crap in, crap out. You're not going to get a good recording of something that sounds bad. You can't fix it in the mix, as some people kind of think you do. So if you record, then you know what I'm talking about. Don't try to salvage something crappy later on. Get it sounding good, sounding the way you want to sound on the way in. That way you'll have a better quality recording and it'll be easier to mix later on when it comes to that. Once we dial up a cool little sound, Andy's going to do a few takes of the whole song. Passes, we call them. He'll do a few passes. We'll record one. We'll kind of listen to it a little bit, and then we'll record another one. Have a few in the can, just in case we need to edit something minor. We can go in and do that quickly. The idea is not to cobble together something that's like a Frankenstein thing that we're not going to be very proud of, but rather to, if we do have to make one tiny little fix, it's easy to do. Andy's great, and we should be able to get some great takes of this that will enable us to get a really honest, really quality bass performance. So let's get to that. What do you say, Andy?
Let's do it. Yeah, it sounds big and fat.
Nice and fat.
That bass up there a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, we're back. We have bass and drums recorded, and the next thing up is acoustic guitar. Now, we did a scratch track where we laid down sort of the basis for everything with an acoustic guitar, but we're not going to keep that. We are going to record it for real, pay a little bit more attention to its sound and the quality of the recording. And that's what we're going to do. I like to do the acoustic guitar after I've done the drums and the bass, because those three instruments make up the rhythm section and kind of underpin the whole song. They make up the whole foundation there, those three instruments. And then we can layer some nice electric guitar parts and fiddle parts over the top of those, right? So acoustic is next. It's a little different than the bass. If you'll remember from the last section, we plugged the bass directly into a box and we went. And that was really cool because it meant that we didn't have to worry about any noise in the room or anything like that. Acoustic guitar is a little bit different. When we record that, the room matters and we use a microphone. In today's case, we're going to be using this guy. This is a Kel HM3C small condenser microphone, small diaphragm condenser. We're not going to get into the ins and outs of all that, but it's a nice mic for picking up a lot of detail from the acoustic, a nice balance between the big sound of the body plus the strings, and it'll sound really nice. So we're going to record the acoustic just like the bass, in that I'm going to do several passes, several takes of the whole song. The ideal goal is to get one take all the way through that sounds awesome and that we don't need to make any changes to. But in case there are some small flubs, a missed chord or whatever, then we can go in and cut and paste something from a different take. I don't want to do that if I don't have to. The idea is, again, to capture one take. It just sounds better that way and sounds more honest. And more, if I can get that, if I can get a good honest vibe out of a take, then that's what we'll go with. Okay, there it is. We have the drums, we've got bass guitar, we've got acoustic guitar tracked. In the next video, we are going to continue on and get a lot more done with the other instruments. We will do, first and foremost, the electric guitars. Cole will come in and do those. Then, Tony and Carrie Joy are going to come in and do fiddles, both separate and together, which will be really, really cool. And then I am going to track the vocals on top of all of that. So that'll be the rest of our tracking duties, and we're going to tackle it all in the next video. And I certainly look forward to that. Hope you do too. And take care. We'll see you next time.